Hey, this is Jim McDonald. Welcome to episode 220 of the PowerCast. This episode continues our conversation with Dave Spitz and Wes Kitts of Cal Strength, the well-known weightlifting gym here in California. This episode includes the funniest non-poop story I think that we've had on the show. Pretty sure that's the funniest. Anyway, like and share. We'll be back on Wednesday with a new episode.
Support for this episode of the PowerCast comes from our newest sponsor, Precision Nutrition, home of the world's top nutrition coaches. Check out the free course for our listeners at get.pn/PowerCast. That's get.pn/PowerCast. Reebok, home of the legacy lifter at Reebok.com. 8-Man Apparel for people who lift heavy weights at 8manstrong.com. Compex Muscle Stim products at CompexUSA.com. Use the code PowerCast and get an additional 28% discount. HowMuchYouBench.net, home of Mark Bell's Slingshot. Use the code PowerCast and get 15% off slingshots and free shipping on orders of $100 or more. And Bodybuilding.com, the world's largest fitness website and supplement store. Bodybuilding.com has free plans for every level. Visit Bodybuilding.com today to become your best self.
Just through September 10th, Bodybuilding.com has a special deal on Cellucor products. Receive 20% off when you buy any of their products, and you can have a chance to win a trip to the Super Bowl for you and a guest. Flights, hotel, and spending cash all included. Head over to Bodybuilding.com today.
Recorded live in West Sacramento, California, this is Mark Bell's PowerCast. Standing just to the left of Jim McD, here's your host, Mark Bell.
So it's interesting. So football players and some of these football agencies have figured out if you lift weights that you can become better at your sport. Is that right? So some of the stuff you guys are doing are helping these guys on the field and helping them hopefully stay away from some injuries and be stronger on the field and be faster.
Yeah.
What are some of the stuff you do with them? Because, their sport isn't to, clean and jerk or snatch the most weight.
Right.
What are some different things that you do with those guys?
Well, we started with training youth athletes, first of all, to local high school kids.
Yeah, you always have young kids in there.
Yeah, local junior high school kids that kind of initially funded the gym, and some of those kids went off to college, and then some of them succeeded in college and came back and wanted this NFL combine preparation, done. So TJ Ward being the first, who's with the Denver Broncos now, and I didn't know shit about the combine at that time. And I was like a football fan, but I was never a football coach. I can't coach my way out of a paper bag when it comes to football.
That guy started training with you at a young age, and then he happened to make it to the pros.
Yeah, and came back and was like, hey,
really cool.
You are going to prep me for the combine. I'm like, I don't fucking know anything about the combine, dude. Like, you do not want me. He's like, no, you're going to do it. I'm like, all right, well, I'll try.
Yeah.
And so, if an athlete trusts me, like, this feeling too, like you're going to do whatever you can to make sure that you fulfill your end of the bargain. Right. And so whether it's research or whether it's just brainstorming, like you're going to do whatever you can do. Mm-hmm. And so TJ was drafted in the second round, and I think he's our 5th second-round draft pick over the last 8 years because we've just had kid after kid, from Zachary Ertz to Ryan Whalen, Roy Helu, like all these guys. We have a really rich area in terms of athletic talent, so we're lucky in that respect. But I think I started this conversation with, I never intended to be a coach.
Right.
And like my whole life, the meaning of life type thing, like my life's meaning, I'm good at mentoring young men, and I'm good at figuring out what they need to be successful. Right. And so when I look at NFL athletes, whether it's combine preparation or whether it's my vets, we have to do a needs analysis of every single person that comes through the door and figure out, what does Austin Hooper need to be successful? What does Zachary Ertz need to be successful? What do these guys specifically need in terms of training and in terms of my effort to take them to the next level? So it's all tailored.
With the with the combine, it's really a huge deal to get their 40 times down and their 225 bench and things like that. How are you executing some of that? Because they can make a lot more money just by hitting a few more reps on the bench sometimes, right?
Dude, and it boils down, like, the more high profile they are, the more important the combine becomes. It's kind of like going to
they're under a microscope a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, how do you decide between tight end 1A and 1B? It's like, a tenth of a second on a 40 time makes that difference, and that could be $1 million swing in a rookie contract.
These days, it's a full-time job preparing a team for the draft, too. For them just deciding who to draft where. I mean, it's a whole industry.
And it's very incestuous, right? You have 32 teams. There's 32 GMs. There's 32 strength coaches. But, we structure it so we do 3 linear speed days a week. They lift 4 times a week. They do 2 lateral speed days a week and 1 position-specific speed day a week. And, the speed stuff I've grown to really like coaching. And so, like, your hip circles out there on the field for glute activation. Yeah, we live and breathe the hip circle, like, for glute activation. I'm not just saying that. We use the Perform Better bands up until I found the hip circle, and then, like.
Yeah, I remember you calling me, and you're like, dude, this is like...
I think, as brilliant as the slingshot is, and we use the slingshot for the bench press, because I think it's, obviously an incredibly useful tool, especially in protecting them, because we can't blow a pec. We can't have elbow tendonitis.
How long are these guys' fucking arms and shit, right? I mean,
and they're so, exactly.
They're fucking huge.
So, teaching them good bench mechanics quickly, working through their upper back and stuff, and keeping them healthy with the slingshot has been a huge part of the process, for sure. But, it's just like him. Peak performance is peak performance. And so NFL Combine, it's no different than a weightlifting competition in a lot of respects, in that, we have to load up the body, make sure that the skills are refined, and then taper the athlete, make sure they're mentally ready to compete. And a lot of that shit's taking a team sport guy and turning him into, like, an individual sport guy overnight, which is another fucking monumental task. And then getting them to interview properly.
Maybe the biggest difference when they come to your gym for football versus they come to your gym for weightlifting would be that you're probably cutting out 2 or 3 barbell exercises from the pro athlete, maybe. And then
for sure.
They're just doing maybe a little bit less of that kind of work, and they're doing more movement, lateral movement, lunges, stretches, single leg, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like problem solving, and you got to, for a big defensive lineman, you got to be strong. And so, we look at prerequisite strength numbers, and if they're there, then we can, maintain the strength and work on some of those more functional aspects of their movement. But, I think that it's always better to squat more. It's always better to deadlift more. It's always better to bench more, as long as it's done in the context of, like, a balanced program. And so what's balanced for an NFL wide receiver, it's going to be different than, maybe a offensive lineman. But,
Yeah, and what people forget, too, is that these guys are, like, for lack of a better term, they're like oversized babies. Like, they're super young.
They're babies.
You kind of forget how young they are. But I remember the tackle from the Bears. He was hitting some bench press, and I think he was using a slingshot, and there was, like, some comments on YouTube like, why doesn't that guy lift more? It's like, well, yeah, first of all, it'd be great if he lifted more, but he's where he's at, but he's extremely talented. His genetics are through the roof, but his arms are really fucking long. I mean, he's really long. He's like 6'7" or some shit, and so he's going to be at a slight disadvantage there. Not to make a bunch of excuses for the guy. The interesting thing is about that, though, is like, if I was to lock horns with him, he'd absolutely murder me. So, but as he gets stronger, that'll apply even further to,
for sure,
his
we're still
trade,
working
his
on the
technique,
strength.
right? I mean,
these kids are babies. You just hit a nail on the head again. And by the way, his job is not to stand there and take blow after blow. His job is to get in someone's way for a fraction of a second and slow them down so they can't kill his quarterback, right? Like that's his job as a left tackle in the league now. It's not like you're fucking run blocking every other play.
He needs a lot of other attributes.
Athletic attributes, right.
So did you say that you help them prepare for their interview as well?
Yeah.
What do you do with their...
Well, we do a lot of filming, and we run through. I have a battery of questions that
you film the interview.
Yeah, we've had a battery of questions collected from both the formal and informal interviews from who. Yeah, so we kind of download and get those questions, and so, again, these kids are like 20, 21 years old. They don't know shit. They've never interviewed for a job before, and all of a sudden you're interviewing for a multi-million-dollar job in a massive industry,
it's a business,
and people are making snap judgments about you, and so you say the wrong thing,
you've got to
they're looking for a reason to eliminate you.
Yeah. You got to probably prep them just the way that they go in there, like the way they're going to dress, the way that their hair is going to be, and
all that stuff.
They get them haircuts for real. Like you'll see them come in with whatever and
makeover.
They got shaved heads.
It makes sense. I mean, if you sometimes you watch, one of these players will get in trouble and then they go to court and they got like cornrows and like you're just like, dude, like I get it. You're a fucking G. Like I understand. I know you came from a certain thing, but like just lose that for a minute.
Just
you know
for
what
a
I mean?
second. Just
lose it for a second because it's probably not the best representation, and whether right or wrong, you're getting yourself profiled, which is not good.
Right.
No, that's exactly right. And a lot of times they'll pull up the athlete's Instagram account or their Twitter account and be like, explain this. Like, what did you mean by this?
Yeah.
Or, when they're looking at film, a lot of it is, football IQ too. Like, how much do you know about the game? So when they put up film, they're going to start with a question like, hey, do you take any plays off? Mark, do you take plays off? No, sir, I never take any plays off. Explain this.
Yeah.
What
are you
finger
thinking?
up your nose, like.
What were you thinking when you were not doing anything during this play? You're
Right.
just standing there.
Yeah, so it's
They want to know if you're honest, right?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part about being in that position now that I've seen some athletes, been about 8 years since we started the program. I've seen the athletes go through this wood chipper that is the NFL, and it's very difficult to watch these young men that you love. And I was just in Zach Ertz's wedding. Two of my children were in Zach Ertz's wedding. Like, these are family. This is like these kids mean something to me. So when they're getting
blow out an ankle or something,
fucking tortalled up every game and at halftime, and like you can talk about how they feel during a Super Bowl catch, and it's like, dude, what was that like running out of the tunnel? And it's like, I'm so drugged up, I don't even know. Like, I'm there, but I'm not really there.
Yeah.
And you see this meat grinder, and it's like, are you encouraged to play through injury? No, but you know what? There is this guy right behind you who's a little cheaper, and he looks pretty good too. And so, we don't know. Like, it's up to you. You want to play today or not?
Right.
So it's a very difficult sport to watch your athletes participate in. We talk about CrossFit and is that hard? Yeah. But the NFL is so fucking brutal. Everybody by the fourth week is too hurt to play. And while they're, destroying their bodies and their brains, they're not accumulating any life experience. They're not getting any smarter. They're not accumulating a skill. So they leave the NFL at age 30 with a little money in their bank account. But who's going to hire them? Where are they going to start? What are you going to do? And so trying to mentor these guys through this process and like have a positive outcome at the end of the day has been a mission over the last couple of years that I've really tried to embark on. And it's sometimes it's heartbreaking, but
yeah. Well, when they're doing, when you're working on strength and conditioning and stuff, and I, preach it to a lot of people, is there's a lot of aspects of that you may not recognize that you can carry into everyday life. You can apply it to anything. If you feel like you need to get faster, you need to get stronger, you can also feel the urge and the need to just be better, period, and kind of like review some things that you're doing in your life. Maybe you're not the best friend in the world, or maybe you're not the best partner in the world, or maybe you're not the best husband or dad, or you start to look at some of these things, look at it, all of them all at once. It can, blow your mind and say, oh, fuck, you probably won't act on any of them. But if you kind of pick them off one at a time, so if you were an athlete and you're somebody that's in Olympic lifting, powerlifting, CrossFit, you're going to be a pro football player, any of those things, your personal development has to start to rise at some point. Otherwise, you're going to be left with nothing, especially if an injury occurs or something like that.
Yeah, and that's why I think like what you do, what I believe I do, at some point Wes, these football players, these kids that you're around, they stop listening to what you say and they start looking at how you behave and how you live your life. You know, like, what are you doing with your family? Like, if I miss practice, what do I miss practice doing?
Something for your kids.
Something for my kids. Like that's that, and they know that, right? So just, you know, how do you run your business? Do you run it ethically? Do you run it, you know, with integrity? Like that type of stuff. Leading by example, I think, is a really important part of coaching.
Right.
And, you know, like we talked about earlier, like there's so much motivational bullshit on social media right now from people that just, like, from a principle standpoint, like, why are you the guy that should be inspiring me? What the fuck have you done?
Right.
Who have you influenced? What have you really accomplished? And, like, don't just spout out hyperbole, because it it dampens your message. It dampens my message. So that's my soapbox.
Yeah, I always kind of refer to it as putting points up on the scoreboard. You know, like, and in wrestling, you know, something that we always said, who'd you ever beat? You know, we said it to each other, kidding around a lot, but it really actually meant a lot, because even though pro wrestling is, you know, staged or however you want to say it, you are put into position for a reason.
Right.
You put into those positions because you put in the work and because you worked hard. So who'd you ever beat, even though we were kind of fucking with each other? It really meant a lot.
Yeah.
And if you were able to, like I was able to beat like John Cena and a lot of, you know, high level people, even though, again, it's fake and it's predetermined, it's still a huge victory.
Yeah.
You know, because you're put in a certain position to do some of those things. So again, you know, referring back to something like Olympic lifting, it's like, what have you ever won? What have you ever, you know, like those things matter a lot.
They do.
You know, hitting those big lifts in the gym, of course that matters a lot. And those are huge things. But what about when you go to nationals? Do you fucking fall apart? Like, I don't want to follow or be excited about somebody that does that. I want to be able to get behind somebody who inspires you and makes your eyes bug out of your head, because you're like, I can't believe that guy did that under those circumstances. Holy fucking shit.
Dude, I mean, where we are right now, like, my tagline is, we're fighting the war on mediocrity, because weightlifting in this country is mediocre at best, but we're getting better. And, you know, I was watching this stupid cooking show on Netflix, and one of these sustainable farmers, he said something on the level of, like, if your life's work can be accomplished in your lifetime, then you're probably not thinking big enough. And I thought to myself, okay, my life's work is to bring weightlifting, like, back to the level that it should be in this country, on par with gymnastics and on par with track and field. Probably not going to happen in my lifetime, but I'm going to lay the fucking foundation so people can appreciate this sport, can get excited about this sport, and I'm going to win now with what I have. So I'm going to make this boy as good as I can get him, and we're going to go on the international stage, and we're going to take down some Europeans. We're going to take down some people that don't think he should even be on the same platform as them.
Right.
And I mean, it's going to happen because we will things into existence.
What motivates you when you're going through a lot of this training? You know, because I'm sure there's some, you know, it's easy to sit here and talk about it, but, you know, going through a 54-week program that actually really doesn't have an end, because at 54 weeks, it's just you have a whole nother year that you guys are discussing. So how are you getting through all this stuff?
I've always, I guess I've always wanted and enjoyed just getting stronger. So, like, that's just one quality that's really helped me. But like, the opportunity to represent the country and win medals on behalf of the U.S. is like, I mean,
yeah, that's a huge
that's
deal.
something you can always go to, and it's gonna, you know, give you some chills. I don't like to lose, so, you know, I don't ever want to be beat. I don't care if they're Russian or German or whatever. I want to beat them. So, you know, it doesn't matter what I did 2 weeks ago with that total. It's still not even close to what I know I need to do. So I've always know that there's more to be gained, and I'm always just trying to chase that. So.
Did you know about Cal Strength before he hit you up?
Not until I met Rob, and then I actually I went. Let's see, Rob mentioned, like,
Met Rob at a competition or something, maybe?
Yeah, I met him at a grid league, so it's like it's like Team CrossFit. But anyway, so he told me that there might be room for me on the team. I was like, well, that sounds cool, but I'm in Tennessee. That's California. I'm engaged. I mean, I didn't know how I'd make it work. So anyways, I kind of went home and thought about it, and I asked one of my buddies, I was like, why is this Rob Blackwell guy so big? And he had like 30,000 followers on Instagram or something. He's got a few. I was like, how did this guy get popular? He's like, well, he's a Cal Strength weightlifter. And I was like, well, what's that mean? What's Cal Strength? And he's like, well, Donnie Shankle and John North. So he's dropping all the big names. I'm like, well, I don't know those guys, but it sounds pretty cool. So anyways, I ended up on the phone with Dave, and I kind of learned what he was about. But I never had any kind of like notions about Cal Strength or any like knowledge. I just kind of, Dave sold me on his ability. So that's
when you become part of the New York Yankees, I don't know if they do this anymore, but George Steinbrenner used to do it, and he'd go over a lot of the great Yankee players that came through the doors. Do you do anything similar? Do you teach people, Dave, about some of the people that have come through the doors that help set stuff up?
Yeah, I mean,
I learned really quick about the Bulgarian backstory, and I learned about what Donnie was all about, and John, and I've never met either of those guys, but I feel like I know how they trained and how they interacted, and I hear stories about Donnie all the time, but even like just knowing that at one point in Dave's life, he was like, well, I'm gonna spend all my money and go to Bulgaria and grab a weightlifting team to train with. Like that's the kind of guy that you want to follow and be coached by. I mean, that's just a crazy example of you know what he'd give for a silly sport. What's he gonna do for a person? He clearly cares about it. So it's just it's cool.
Yeah, it's great to learn. How did all that stuff get there? When you go through the gym, it's easy just to kind of take it for granted and be like, oh, it's we gotta like. Every gym has it, right? Like every gym has barbells, every gym has bumper plates, every gym has squat stands and boxes that somebody probably nailed together and all these different things. But
stinky bathrooms.
But like each person that has brought those things together has their own story, and so to kind of learn almost how those things got there, they literally got there through the back-breaking work of some of the stuff that he did, and then the lifters that you had there too is a huge part of it, because then it helps the company and the gym to advance further, so you can buy more shit and you have more stuff. But literally, like those bars and those plates and stuff don't exist if he doesn't go to Bulgaria, tie the coach up and throw him in his backpack, and bring him to the United States. It's interesting that there's so much story kind of behind a lot of those things. And sometimes we have people that come in here that are just visiting, and they appreciate the old videos and a lot of the stuff that we've done, and they're always, but they don't really know. They don't really know the depth of it all. You know what I mean?
No, of course not. I think we talk about it all the time. Like, how did a 4,000 square foot warehouse in San Ramon, California, become basically a center of excellence? And how do we have 24 plus draft picks? And
how you sought after by the NFL?
Yeah. How do we have these guys like Wes and Donnie, and why do we have a media presence that we do? Like, what makes the gym special? And it literally is just the people and the people that have contributed to this thing over time. And so now we get people who fucking come over and like want to spend a day on their honeymoon there.
Yeah.
Or like there's a couple of Danish guys that came over like last week, and there's people from Singapore, and it's like, it's pretty remarkable.
WWE wrestlers, pro athletes of all kind, right?
Dude, that they can feel that's not, and then they come in here, and then like the gym is such a shithole. If you've ever been to Cal Strength, it's like it's kind of like going to Yankee Stadium in some respects. It's like you walk in and you're like, this is it. This is fucking cool.
Definitely has multiple smells to it. Like as you walk deeper into the gym, it gets worse.
Yes,
when you walk towards the back, it's like, oh man.
Yeah, there's like that gasoline smell on the way back, and then you got the bathroom in the middle that always provides that interesting smell. You got the muscle milk up front. No, it's a special place, and I'm really proud of what we built. I mean, and you know what? I'm really proud of like some of the spin-offs that have like come out of it, like whether it's what MDUSA was doing, or whether it's John North and his Attitude Nation, or Kevin Cornell or Tom Soroka, like these guys that have like gone on, like even Max Ada down at Juggernaut, like these guys, like no matter what, they've come from this common mother, and we've kind of seeded these other entities that have gone on to do good things for the sport, and that in itself is really cool.
Yeah,
too.
Sometimes people leave, and there's the uncomfortable feelings because there's so much that goes into making it all happen on a daily basis, and maybe somebody's part of your gym for years, and there's when people leave, sometimes there's like hurt feelings. But the way I like to look at it is, it's almost like a stamp of approval rather than like a disapproval, rather than like, oh man, like that motherfucker left Cal Strength, that kind of stuff. No, he was part of Cal Strength in the beginning, and it helped everybody. It helped him. It helped his positioning where he's at now. It helped you, and it just, almost like one of our guests had kind of mentioned this in the past with like Nike. Like, oh, that's a Nike guy. Like I came from Nike. Like he's a Nike executive, and now he's going here, and guess what's going to happen? He's going to kick more ass where he moved to because he has that background.
Yeah. No, it's cool. My wife is always like, I don't know how you do it. You just keep taking the high road. And it's like, when I didn't want to get into coaching. That wasn't my deal. And in fact, I brought in Glenn Pendelay to be the coach of California Strength, right? To kind of take the helm, because I wanted to be kind of a George Steinbrenner instead of a Don Mattingly type guy. And so at the end of the day, like when Glenn left, like, and took Donnie and took John, and they were all very gracious, and it was a good departure in a lot of respects, but it also like left me with this void I had to step in and fill. Right. And so I think that was a blessing at the end of the day.
Things like that are important.
Yeah, it helped me grow.
What are you made out of? What do you got?
And I think it showed me, like, you know what, as much as I liked being an athlete, as much as I like being an owner, being on the journey with Wes, being on the journey with Rob, like that shit is invaluable. And that's what I really like cherish about what I do now, is just being a part of this process in a day-to-day standpoint. So
Today's sponsor, Precision Nutrition, is the industry's most respected gold standard for both nutrition education and nutrition coaching. Over 50,000 health and fitness professionals have taken their certifications, and they've personally coached more than 50,000 clients who've collectively lost more than 1 million pounds. They're consultants to companies like Apple, Equinox, UFC, and Titleist. They've created something special for PowerCast listeners today. When you visit get.pn/PowerCast, you'll get access to an amazing free course exploring the science, or lack thereof, of nutrition's hottest topics, from grains to detoxes, from low carb to GMOs. It's all there. If you want to understand and learn how to navigate the latest trends and fads in nutrition, you can get the free course at get.pn/PowerCast. That's get.pn/PowerCast.
That's John Berardi from way back in the day.
Yeah, I love that guy back in the day. He was controversial because he was bucking trends. He was saying opposite of what a lot of people said at that point.
I remember the main thing that I got from him was why just have one school of thought? Why not embrace different ones and see what fits you? Makes the most sense to me. I mean, the principle that he had too of not consuming a lot of fats and carbohydrates together. Because then you think about it, you're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. That's all the things I love. That's pizza and ice cream and pancakes with syrup and butter on them and all that kind of stuff. That really adds up too quick, and you can't control because it tastes too good.
Absolutely. So head on over to get.pn/PowerCast. Check out this free course and learn what's up with nutrition today so you can talk about it like a smart person.
I'm sure some people that are listening that are fans of Cal Strength would like to hear a story or two about some of the kind of old-time guys. I know there's, John North had a intense personality, to say the least. Mm-hmm. You have a good story.
He does have an intense personality?
You have a good story you can share about him?
Oh, all those guys, it's like, first of all, even those guys were standing on the shoulders of giants in terms of what we had with this nonprofit American weightlifting. So, like, you have to understand, when I brought Abadjiev over, this is an old Bulgarian dude that was, like, so out of sorts being in the United States in, near present day. Like, the first thing he did is he went and booby-trapped the entire house so that, like, if WADA or USADA showed up, like, they would be inflicted with, like, a mortal wound as they tried to open a door. Like, he literally rigged the whole thing. I made him this beautiful fucking bedroom, master bed, like everything tucked in beautifully. And every day I would go to wake him up for practice, and the bed would be made, and he would be in the closet sleeping in like a little fucking like cocoon that he made himself in this walk-in closet. And then, of course, he wanted all kinds of supplements. He wanted like, I just need a little medicine, just a little Anavar, just a little testosterone, just a lot of clenbuterol. And then, so he had this shopping list that he wanted me to get for him. I'm like, dude, I don't know how to tell you this, but
Great. He's like 80 years old.
yeah, like we have to train clean. And so that was like, instead of focusing on training, he's trying to figure out like the chemistry behind, trying to create an adaptogen for us. And so we had these like fucking mad Bulgarian scientists that he would make me fly over. And these guys were like, they were like straight out of a fucking comedy show. Like they would come in like little fat guys with capris, like trying to like spout off science. And I had a PhD that was working with us that would like vet the science that they would, and he'd be like, this is total bullshit. Like this is
They're spewing garbage.
yeah. And it Abhijit wanted the story that everybody likes. Like after I told him no to the supplements, he wanted a goat. That one of the Bulgarian scientists, instructed him if we would tie the goat up and just like feed it water and vitamins, that starvation stress response would create like such an awesome enzyme that if we slaughtered the goat and put the meat in the centrifuge and then ate it, like we would all get like super strong. And so he lobbied for like weeks on end for a fucking goat. And like we're in suburban Benicia, California. Like can you imagine the sound a goat makes tied up outside as it starves to death for like 2 weeks? Like,
What a nut job.
How do I tell him no? And then the final straw, like I drew the line in the sand. I'm like, hey, you got to go home. He was like mixing his own supplements out of like household like things that we purchased at Costco. And he came down to the kitchen. And he gave me this glass. He's like, drink. And I was, it was like pinkish liquid with like a twig and a berry and a leaf floating in it. And I was like, all right, well, I put it up to my lips, and our super heavyweight goes, psh, no, don't drink. Never drink, my friend. And I'm like, why? Uncle gave it to me. He's like, he making toilet. I'm like, what do you mean he makes in the toilet? Like in the back? No, he's making in the toilet. Go upstairs. Go see. I cruise upstairs and, I cruise into the bathroom, and there is Abhijit over the toilet bowl stirring this fucking magical supplement in his own toilet bowl and feeding it to us. Like, all right, this is clearly
a little bit.
This is I'm learning a lesson here, but it's not necessarily what I thought I was going to learn.
Right.
I got to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to exist without a Bulgarian in my life.
Yeah, it's hard when you're, the catalyst of everything. You're the one, getting the coaches here and doing these different things, and you probably put yourself in some compromising positions. People staying at your house and spending money, and
so much.
All these various things. The only option you really do have a lot of times is to take the high road when something doesn't go the right way. Because it's just otherwise, how can you move forward?
Yeah.
You're going to sit there and dwell on those situations.
Yeah. And you learn that success is situational, like whether it's, a person in a situation like what we put Abhijit in. I mean, it wasn't fair to him either. Like, it's like trying to take fucking Newt Rockney out of the Dark Ages and plug him into Notre Dame today and saying, okay, win.
Yeah, right.
Like, everything is too culturally different. Everything is too different for him to have success. So, like, the one thing I learned through this whole process is keep your own counsel. Like I don't lend my confidence to anybody very lightly. Like right. I'm always now guiding the business based upon what I feel, guiding their training based upon what I feel is right. And it's just one of those learning experiences, I guess, that kind of shape you going forward.
Can you tell that story about when John tucked up?
Yeah. So in the John North vein, like, first of all, when Donnie brought John into the fucking gym the first time, we'd all known John from these local competitions. He's like this, goofball, like just antics, like yelling, screaming, just so far like off the spectrum for like what good proper weightlifting etiquette is.
Right.
He's like jumping around the stage,
always done
bar
very
slamming.
Quiet and stuff. Yeah.
Dude, this guy was, it's fine if you're loud, if you're good. He was fucking terrible. He was like snatching body weight and like doing this. And Donnie's like, "No, Dave, I've got John North coming to the gym today." And I'm like, "You're not gonna bring this fucking lunatic in the gym." He's like, No, it's gonna be my pet project. I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna train him. Like, good God, Donnie's like, "I need a training partner." I'm like, "Fine, just bring him in, but it's your problem." So John comes in, and like within the first week, he tells me he's taken a loan from his mom, bought out his lease, and he's moved like down to San Ramon with his wife to train at Cal Strength full time, like from Sacramento. I'm like, oh man, this is not going well. But he became a fucking gem, and he's a wonderful person, and I love the boy to death now. But we were at a weightlifting competition a couple of years into his career, and like for whatever reason, on this date, you never tuck your dick up in your singlet. That's like a mortal sin, because the bar comes into the hips at like a ridiculous, rate. And so as you slam your fucking hips into extension, like if your dick's in the way, it's pubis and bar.
Yeah.
Like your dick doesn't win. You lose.
It's going to leave a mark.
And so like his dick the tip was as black as this microphone. It was like, and he could not stop showing it to people. It was like, it was unbelievable. It was the smallest black dick I've ever seen.
Maybe in history, right?
Oh my God.
So you have to teach everybody, hey, like guys, don't ever,
You'd think it would be common sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And why would you do it just like on a whim? Like, oh, I'm going to try something different today.
Probably just thought he was being funny.
Yeah, I'm just going to tuck up.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, there's that.
Damn. Weightlifting's dangerous.
Yeah, well, that's why Wes P's sitting down. That's why the USADA has such a tough time here. It's like, I can't see it, is it?
That's great.
They don't bring a glass toilet.
They should, yeah. Like clear toilet.
Like glass.
I'll put that in the suggestion box.
A Wonder Woman toilet.
Yeah.
What's something you learned in the last 2 years, business-wise?
The last 2 years, let's see.
Ish.
Yeah. I think that the most important thing for me on the business side is, again, to stay true to yourself and not to get distracted with what people are saying or what people are doing, and to be authentic, right? Like, not everybody's going to like us, but we have to be us, because that's all we really can be. And so, I have to rely on my experience, and I have to rely on what I think is right to guide the principles of Cal Strength. And the more I get into the business, the more I really enjoy giving back. And for whatever reason, like the more we give back to the lifters, the more success just seems to shower our way. And so, I've never really lost track of that, but just doubling down on investing in the athletes is probably what we've done better in the last couple of years.
You probably learned any time that you steered away from that. Like you mentioned, having other coaches come in and you may be pulling back to try to have more family. Anytime you've done that,
doesn't work.
Hasn't worked the way that you thought it would work.
Yeah.
So you keep going back to what works for you.
And you have to just be people say, you gotta separate, the business and the personal, but you have to take your business personally. Like if something's not going right, it's not going right because I'm fucking up. Right. And so like my DNA is infused in Cal Strength. It's my baby. And it's, as you know, a business can be a great fucking mirror for you, and it reflects the good and the bad. Like your strengths and weaknesses are amplified in what you produce on the business side. Absolutely. And so, the great parts of super training and some of the parts that aren't functioning so well are a representation of what you do well or what you don't do well. And same at Cal Strength. And so being able to like appreciate that and learn from it is something that I think in the last 2 years has definitely come full circle for me too.
Cool. Wes, with before you were training pretty much by yourself, I think you were mentioning you're doing CrossFit, but then you must have done a lot of Olympic lifting kind of on your own ish. What has been the biggest difference with moving to Northern California and working with Cal Strength and working with Dave?
Right away, I learned so much about technique. So I found out that I actually had no idea what I was doing immediately. And as soon as he taught me, instantly my consistency was up like tenfold. I mean, honestly, tenfold. I wasn't used to doing a whole session without at least one miss, and it didn't mean anything to me. I missed a snatch all the time, and he taught me how to go, one cycle without a miss, and then I went 2 months without a miss, and then I've done 3 months. So I won't miss a weight, and it doesn't seem to matter how heavy we go or how challenging the cycle is. I can just rely on technique that I've learned from Dave, and even now my technique gets better almost daily. I learned how to train harder, so this is just the little thing I picked up as a football player is you only need to squat once or twice a week. And if you're doing twice a week, you're doing a lot. Well, I get to Cal Strength, and we squat basically every day. Rarely do we not. So, I learned that I can actually do a lot more than I was. And then, being around people like Rob and other people that just appreciate the sport and are training hard and are strong like that. I mean, I had never been with anyone that was that strong before. Like just, I'd train with my buddies or just somebody that liked weightlifting. I'd never really trained with anybody strong. So having people like Rob around also is just, it changes how you train, and being able to learn from your training partners and not just teach is super helpful.
Yeah, having training partners, does that motivate you a lot too? Kind of seeing them, like maybe maybe you're doing a certain lift and they're a little bit ahead of you, or you're kind of like, fuck, now I need to kind of do it. Do you guys get into a little bit of that?
Absolutely. Nobody wants to be the least consistent guy in the room that day. We're all different weight classes, different strength levels, but if I'm supposed to make this lift at this set, then Rob feels like he needs to, David feels like he does, and vice versa. If I'm the only guy that missed a rep, I'm not fulfilling a leadership role at all. But B, I don't want to get beat by my teammates. Right. I want to make all my lifts and have to help them through a session. So it is motivating to just be around people and not just be able to miss and just shake it off. Like, and you're by yourself, you do something dumb, like it's whatever. You're the only one that saw it. You're the only one that it affects. But, being around your buddies, they see you. They're either going to give you shit or they're going to bring you up. I mean, one way or the other, like you have to answer for it. And a lot of times it's to Dave. He's actually the first to start with the remarks. So
the remarks.
Yeah.
What about the YouTube comments? They're helpful too.
The YouTubers are very great.
You're accountable
coachers,
to them.
I heard the best mindset for dealing with the YouTube comments. They're anecdotal. They're just anecdotes. So if people complain about things, that's one person complaining about one thing. It's not necessarily indicative of anything else or anyone else.
Yeah. But they're hard to take personally because they're so mean.
They are mean.
Typically,
a
yeah.
little bit.
We just did a YouTube video where we impromptu read the mean comments.
Right.
We had them logged up like
mean tweets.
Yeah. It was great because our little media guy kind of teed up so they didn't know what they were reading, and watching their expressions, they're trying to hold their shit together, but some of them you could tell it's kind of hurtful.
That was funny.
It's just mean. Nobody's mean to you though. Everybody just doesn't believe you're clean.
You're right. That's the worst. And then also Clarence Kennedy is a better weightlifter than me. For everyone that's listening, he is stronger. So I concede to the YouTube battle for now.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
Jinx.
So we rehearsed this on the way here.
With the USADA officer in the back seat.
What goes through your mind when you're going to hit a big lift?
Oh man. Honestly, let's see. If I'm usually not too scared of it. I try to get so amped up that I'm not really nervous about
So you
missing
like to get
anymore.
fired up before
Yeah,
you...
I like to get really.
Is that like external or is that internally?
Internally. I mean, you can always listen to McKellar yell at me and Dave will yell at me, and but while I'm getting amped up, but I'm kind of like I've got my own stuff that I kind of bring to attention and things I think about that just it always it just always gets me going. And
Are you the kind of person that takes stuff, maybe somebody at some point in your life telling you that you couldn't do something or you weren't gonna be able to do, perform something, and then you kind of take that to the platform type of deal, or you just like certain music or got other shit going on in your head?
The music helps. I don't, I'm not really trying to prove, I don't have anybody that's ever honestly told me I couldn't before. So that's, and that's been just, I'm very blessed to have that kind of support.
People, yeah.
Well, what your dad used to say?
Be somebody. So, honestly, like that's kind of my go-to is my dad, he passed away it's probably been 5 years now, but he always supported me in my athletic endeavors, and be somebody is just a big thing that he would always tell me. So I'll step to a bar, and that's what that's one of the things I'm saying to myself.
Right.
Or, I do a lot of lifts for him. I mean, honestly, because that used to be my favorite thing about training is calling him after and telling him what I did, even in football. So it was just something cool that we had. But so.
Did he like to work out?
Yeah, he actually, he's the reason I got into it so young. I have these cool pictures of him when he did a bodybuilding show back in the Arnold days. Yeah. So he was, he was huge. He looked awesome, and I always wanted to be that guy. So I started like as soon as he would let me. I went down, and we had some stuff in the basement. And I mean, I started like training hard as a 12-year-old. Just because I wanted to, because I wanted to be exactly what he was. So
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty cool.
How did he pass away?
He had lung cancer. So
okay.
basically, like I think he was 23 or 24. He got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then the treatment for that came back and basically killed him as an adult. So just that.
Brutal.
I mean, the treatment was bad back then. I mean, when he got it done, they basically would do lead cutouts for your organs and then just place them on you and then shoot radiation right into your body. So it's just very crude. And anyway, so that just came back.
Yeah, that's sad. Sorry to hear that.
Sorry.
When I was first starting out in powerlifting, and whenever I'd hit a lift at these certain meets, we'd had the same announcer every time, and whenever you hit a lift, the guy would yell, "This guy wants to be somebody," and he would just like yell it, and it got everybody all fired up. And you kind of wanted to get that, like you wanted to hear him say that. He said it for everybody every single time they made their lift. So he just repeatedly over and over again. Sometimes he'd say it low, sometimes he'd say it real loud. But you always knew you're going to get just this big fat guy at the announce table. You're always going to get that from him. So you always wanted to hear him say those words every time, and it meant you were doing well,
Yeah.
Anyway, awesome having you guys here today.
Yeah.
Where can people find you guys, Dave?
Well, Wes's Instagram is at WesKits22.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's at Cal_strength. We have the strength program that we built for the CrossFitters, at the Barbell WOD. And then our website, californiastrength.com. So, and just like this place, drop-ins are welcome. If you follow the online program for the $10 or $15 a month, Cal Strength is free.
Awesome.
So, it's just it's an awesome opportunity for our lifters to train with people that respect and like what they do. So, yeah, we just we appreciate you having us, because like I said, the idea that we have a megaphone to get the participation up in the sport, like that's
right.
We suck, but we're getting better.
Well, weightlifting is just too hard. That's the problem with it. That's what I've discovered.
Anybody can snatch. No, I have a book coming out called Just Lift, and so that's going to drop in December.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so we'll teach you how to
Just
lift.
in time for Christmas.
Just in time for Christmas. You can pick it up.
Buy an ebook for Christmas.
Someone can do a snatch.
Yeah, but no, I sincerely appreciate you having us on, and just being a good role model and a good advocate for all of the athletes in the iron game. You know, it's just, I think that, you know, again, your authenticity, your message, your voice, you know, you lend that to weightlifting, and that's I can't express my gratitude enough for that. So,
I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunities you've given me with working with some of the NFL athletes and stuff like that. So thank you very much. It's great to have a neighbor close by that is in the strength community, and it's even better that you guys do something slightly different. You do stuff that I don't know anything about. So for me, it's that's always fun watching. I watch all your Instagrams and watch all the different stuff you guys post all the time because I'm fascinated by weightlifting, even though I don't participate in it. I'm always just kind of like, how the fuck are these guys doing this shit?
What do you think the we talked about this a little bit. What do you think the upper
I blew this, so you
upper
have
limits of somebody who's like 230, so the 242 class for you guys in a drug tested powerlifting scenario? What do you think the upper limits are for somebody to squat clean?
No reps.
No reps. Just
that weight class, I'm trying to think of some people in comparison. Okay, so
like a Kevin Oak is.
Yeah, right. Bryce Lewis weighs about 230 pounds or so, I think.
He
might be in that 220 category. 755 deadlift.
This is the 220 class right
He
here.
squats over 700 in knee sleeves, and he benches close to 500 pounds.
Yeah. So just over 700. I mean, which is from a prerequisite strength standpoint, you know, like we look at maybe clean and jerking somewhere around 75% of your best 1RM back squat. So if he can squat somewhere in the, you know, mid 700s, we're talking about capabilities for a world record clean and jerk. So that's going to be a big emphasis.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get your iron cred. What are some of your best lifts?
Which ones you want? You want the power lifts?
Give them all.
They're not very good.
Well, I don't care about how much you curl. So just squat, bench, deadlift, clean and jerk, snatch.
Your mic
Mic is
You are getting older. Wow. Dave's microphone just went completely limp.
That's how you know the show's over.
It went John North's penis on us.
Get your calculator out so we can tell them pounds.
Okay, go.
Is the name of this podcast The Smallest Black Dick You've Ever Seen? Is that the name of the show?
It has to be,
That's
right?
the one, yeah.
Okay, your best squat is
we're trying to figure out pounds.
667. Your best your best 1RM deadlift, and it's basically a clean grip deadlift, is 671. Your best clean and jerk is
671 deadlift.
475, and your best snatch is 385.
Yeah, almost 400 once.
And you weigh 231.
231. I benched 405 a few years ago.
Oh, there we go.
That's not bad, right?
That's all we care about.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you meant was bench.
Yeah.
press, so.
And what else have you done? You participated in the combine or the regional combine. You ran a 4.36.
4.43 in the NFL one, and then
Those are the
Hold
guys
on
I
a
trained
second.
that run
Hold
the
on a
4.3s.
second. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
That is mind-boggling. That's fucking awesome.
That's what I'm telling people. Like, this is a genetic 1%er. So like if you don't believe that he's clean, that's your fucking problem. He is that much.
Well, I think
stronger
everyone
and
just
more-
they get hurt feelings, and it's like, well, just look at your parents, like what did they do and what did their parents do, and then you'll have a fucking recipe for where you're at.
You don't get an apple from an orange tree.
Yeah, and where
Damn
your
orange.
ceiling is. I mean, everybody's seen my dad before, and his dad was shorter than him, and there's not really a lineage of spectacular genetics that have come from the Bell family. There's strength, I guess, is something that a lot of us had decent ability to like lift some stuff, but there was never like attributes that would make you think that like some outrageous things were going to be able to be done, so can you dunk a basketball?
I have. I'm a little out of shape to jump right now. Haven't jumped a lot
What was
lately.
your best vert though in the combine? 40 and a half?
I think I hit 40 even.
40 even.
So anything over like 35 is starting to get to be pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
40-inch vert for somebody that size, like
Yeah.
220 pounds when he was playing. Like that's
225 is what I weighed today. So.
that's pretty special stuff. And he trained by himself. It's not like he wasn't.
I didn't get the cow strength combine experience.
So what I got from the podcast was he uses tons of tren, growth hormone, testosterone, What were the other 3?
No, we are a Cytosport only supplement company. All NSF
Mix it up
products.
in your toilet.
Right.
Sometimes we put it in the toilet. We put it in the toilet after we're done with it.
A 4.40. That's amazing.
That one was legit. I hit a 4.38 at a Canadian combine, and then
It's fucking Canada.
promptly didn't get invited to day 2 though. So
Wow.
Yeah.
But I could run a little bit and jump a little bit.
You ever have him race against some of your NFL guys?
Absolutely not.
He won't let me even.
You don't want
jump
to blow something out?
No, not letting Seabiscuit run against fucking War Admiral out there.
Oh, that mic is
Keep
fading
Keep
again.
Seabiscuit in the
There we go.
in the pen.
All right, everybody, multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle, and may all your shits be tapered. I'm at Mark Smelly Bell on Instagram and Twitter. See y'all later.
Shout out to all of our sponsors. Reebok, the official shoe of the PowerCast, home of the legacy lifter at Reebok.com. 8-Man Apparel for people who lift heavy weights at 8manstrong.com. Compex Muscle Stim products at CompexUSA.com. Use the code PowerCast, get an additional 28% discount. HowMuchYouBench.net, home of Mark Bell's Slingshot. Use the code PowerCast and get 15% off Slingshots. Power Magazine, the world's only strength magazine, available in both digital and print at thepowermagazine.com. Precision Nutrition, home of the world's top nutrition coaches. Check out at get.pn/powercast and bodybuilding.com for all of your supplement needs. I'm the Jim McDonald on all the social media. Follow the show on Instagram. We are at Mark Bell's PowerCast. We're out.
Cool.